Alright, so I am someone who wants to be an author when I get older. I am currently working on a series right now. I'll try not to reveal too much about it, but one thing, I have a bookshelf here, and I decided to fill this up with things that will serve as inspiration since all these stories here have had one way or another influenced my writing, and I plan starting January 1st next year to read all these. My goal is like a chapter a day. Also watch some movies here too, and write continuously so I'll have inspiration and stuff. So I want to go through them in order. I don't have it completely filled yet, but I'm getting pretty close to being done. So without further ado, here we go. First up is The Fall of Arthur by J.R.R. Tolkien, and then a story of King Arthur and his knights by Howard Pyle. Now, I'm not too strict on the order, but my main thing is to like go in order of when these things came out, and like King Arthur is a very old story. Although I'm pretty sure this one came before this one, I'm not entirely sure, but I wanted to put the Tolkien one first because that's written in a more complex way, and I kind of want to get that one out of the way before reading the simplified kid version of that story. So yeah, then after that is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Um, yeah, definitely a very good read. I I consider it an interesting read because I myself try hard to comprehend a lot of things, but this book, that's like the complete opposite mindset you should have. Don't try to understand it and you'll go all fine. And then here is the Wizard of Oz series by L. Frank Baum. For those of you who may not have known, the movie The Wizard of Oz is in fact based on a book, but that book is a part of a very large series. In fact, these aren't even the whole thing, although the first 14 are written by L. Frank Baum. This goes up to the 15th. I'm not sure who wrote the 15th, but that's as far as that one goes. So I'm going to look forward to reading those. And after that comes The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. It's very good books here. The Hobbit is among my all-time favorites. Lord of the Rings, I'll admit, the first time I read it, I couldn't really get into it, but I'm hoping now I can get into it more. I made a Facebook page for the Hobbit movies a while back. It was originally called Like If You Can't Wait Until the Hobbit, and now that the movies are out, it's now Like If You Waited Until the Hobbit. In case you want to find that. So, yeah, and then after that comes C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia. Interesting story of why that book's on the top. When I first read this series, I didn't finish it all the way, but I did try reading the series once at school back in around 7th grade, I believe, and somehow someone stole my copy of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or I presume somebody stole it. It got lost somehow, so I had to buy a new one, which didn't fit in this box thing here, so that has to remain on the top. And excuse me for a second, I dropped something, but anyways, yeah. So I said before I wasn't too precise with the ordering, but I do like to go how old the story is. The thing with these two, with Narnia and The Lord of the Rings, is that The Hobbit came out in 1937, almost 80 years ago. I think sometime in August or so. But anyways, which was before both Lord of the Rings and Narnia, but Narnia did come out before Lord of the Rings, but since The Hobbit came out first, I consider that whole storyline to have come out before Narnia, so that's why I put Lord of the Rings first. Then after those, the first movies on here, Star Wars. By next year, I should have the 8th movie, which will come out in December. But yeah, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, unfortunately, only the extended editions exist on DVD as far as I know, although I do have them on VHS, when I go through this, I might just watch the VHS ones. I don't know. And The Force Awakens after that, and after those comes George Lucas's other series, Indiana Jones. So yeah, and then The Lion King after that, and as you can see here, Harry Potter, which I'm actually currently in the middle of, well, not in the middle, right near the beginning of The Order of the Phoenix, the longest book of the series. So there's that, and some interesting spin-off stuff here. The Tales of Beelzebub the Bard, and then this thing that includes that book there, and Quidditch Through the Ages, which I finished reading recently. I'm hoping to get the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, not the screenplay, but the actual book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, soon. Barnes & Noble said it would release them on March 17th, which was the day before I filmed this. And then Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which I actually was there for the release of at midnight with a friend of mine, so that was a great experience. After that comes Inheritance Cycle, which I did read Eragon like 4 years ago, and I started on Eldest, but I didn't really finish that series. But I have these three here, and the other one is down here because I couldn't fit it up there. I looked through them. I think this one's about this, like, almost the exact same length as the fifth Harry Potter. I think they're both 870 pages, so yeah, I'm gonna spend quite a lot of time on that series. And after that comes Pirates of the Caribbean, and if you're wondering why only 2 and 3 are here, well, the first one, it broke. It does not work at all. It works like through part of the movie, then just starts skipping. You can't watch the whole thing. I never got around to getting the fourth movie, but by the time I start this expedition, or whatever you want to call it, I should have movies 1, 4, and 5 to include here. This is definitely a big inspiration on my writing. In fact, sometimes I even listen to the soundtrack while writing my story. So yeah, and then here is the Chaos Walking trilogy. One of the most relatable series for me, because it goes about age and stuff, which is a very sensitive subject to me. This is a very underrated series. Not many people know about it, and I highly recommend it. Although, something that's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, there is like a limit. Like on the back it says ages 14 and up, and I remember back when I was 13, a guy at Barnes & Noble recommended this to me, and I read all these. I think I read the first 2 at 13 years old, and I might have read the 3 at 14, but anyways, I read this stuff younger than 14, and it didn't bother me at all. There's nothing new to me here, but I guess that might just be a recommendation. I don't know, but that's my mini rant here. Like I said, age is a sensitive subject to me. And then down here is sort of like a Harry Potter section. Some Legos and stuff here, but funny story. So yeah, only one movie here, and it's not even the first one. I have the fourth one here. Why is that? Well, for one thing, my sister, at the school she works at, she somehow got this for free. I don't know if they're doing like a book fair or something, but she gave this to me, which is awesome. But that's the only one I have right now. I'm hoping to get the rest of the series at some point. So yeah, and I have here Movie Magic, like one of those books that goes like behind the scenes and stuff. So yeah, definitely. In fact, Harry Potter was the first series. Well, I guess Goosebumps kind of was the first series I was into, but Harry Potter was the first series that like I read all the way through and like just got me into reading in general. So I can say it was kind of like my inspiration for writing it all. So none of this would be here right now if it weren't for Harry Potter. So yeah, and like I showed you before, I have the Last Inheritance Cycle and some stuff over here. But one of the biggest books here, a lot of you'll recognize that name. I hope so, anyways. And this is The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. This was a foundation. This has a format that many of these stories up here follow, whether intentionally or not. Some intentionally, like for instance, George Lucas actually has a review on the back of it, and Star Wars is very much it follows the hero's journey, which is the format detailed by this book, very closely, which might make my story a bit predictable, but I do have a few twists and turns here and there, so it's not. I'm trying not to make it too predictable, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, that is my bookshelf here. Very close to being done. I just need like one more book and a few more movies, and I will be complete. So yeah, give me a moment. So it's taking all that.